Discover the incredible journey of Lexus. From mocked cars to a heartwarming global triumph. In the quiet suburban town of Maplewood, where the hope of the American dream loomed like a shadow over rusted car frames, Sam, a hard-working mechanic, toiled in his workshop. At 40, he was a devoted father and partner to Ava, his wife who had recently lost her job. With 2 kids, Emma, a brilliant high school senior with aspirations of becoming a mechanical engineer, and Jake, a lively 10-year-old, Sam believed in the power of family and hard work even when the whispers of envy wrapped around him like a heavy fog. The town had seen brighter days, its streets once filled with laughter and joy, now holding the weight of economic hardship and social tension. The townsfolk, wrestling with their own struggles, had turned their disdain towards foreign brands, particularly Lexus, symbolizing elitism against their blue-collar lives. Sam's pride in his Lexus, a car he had lovingly maintained with his own hands, became a target for ridicule, not just for himself, but especially for Emma, who faced sneers from classmates undermining her family's worth. "Look at that fancy car," a classmate sneered, her voice dripping with judgment. Sam could almost hear the cracks forming in Emma's confidence like glass shattering. It lit a fire within him, a fire forged in his own childhood, when he too faced judgment for being different. Fueled by a protective instinct and inspired by Emma's resilience, he hatched an ambitious plan. Host a charity car show to unite the town, showcasing cars and celebrating community triumphs. But as excitement bubbled, not everyone rallied behind him. A rival mechanic, envious of Sam's character and initiative, sought to sabotage the event. The stakes were high. Would the community embrace the dream of unity or cling to their prejudices? As the days slipped by, Sam felt the tension intensify. The murmurs of dissent echoed through Maplewood, and he found himself standing at a precipice, wondering if this effort would deepen the divide or bring people together. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The day of the car show dawned bright and promising, engines revving in harmony with laughter and chatter, generating an energy that wrapped around Maplewood like a warm embrace. Just as it seemed hope might flourish, chaos erupted, a shocking incident that threatened to unravel everything Sam had fought for. Eyes darted, voices rose, and they stood at a crossroads where division could fester like an untreated wound. Amid the turmoil, Sam felt his heart race, caught between love for his family and the burden of community judgment. Would they rise above their petty grievances? He listened to the tearful stories shared among attendees, tales of dreams and struggles morphing into a collective narrative, one that could heal rather than harm. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows over the town, Sam held tightly to a secret that could tip the scales either way, leaving an open question in the air. What sacrifices would he make for the love of family and the hope of bringing his community together? The crowd was a sea of faces, a mixture of old friends and familiar foes, each person caught up in the whirlpool of emotions swirling around the car show. Sam scanned the scene, heart pounding against the cage of his ribcage. Despite the initial burst of enthusiasm, tension hung thick in the air, palpable and electric. Ava stood off to the side, supporting Emma as she tried to shake off lingering nerves. Sam stole a glance at his daughter, her brow knitted as she spoke to a group of girls who had once looked down on her. He felt a small swell of pride. After all, this event was supposed to empower her and show the townsfolk that differences shouldn't push people apart, but unite them, just like the diverse cars sharing the lot. Suddenly, a shout pierced the air, cutting through the hopeful chatter like a knife. There she is, the fancy car's owner. It was Carl, the local mechanic who never missed an opportunity to stir the pot and belittle what he didn't understand. Sam's jaw clenched, and he instinctively stepped forward, ready to confront him. But Emma caught his eye, shaking her head slightly. Her expression, a mixture of fear and determination, froze him in place. She took a breath, stepping into the fray to face Carl herself. Sam watched, anticipation spiraling in his chest. She had always been strong-willed, but now she was standing up not just for herself, but for their family's name. "Your jokes don't define who we are," Emma said, her voice ringing out with a clarity he had not expected. "This car is a symbol of hard work and care. It may not mean much to you, but it means everything to us." A few people clapped, and Sam felt a warmth spread through him. Then, amidst the applause, he saw a few faces turn up in sneers, those unwilling to see beyond their prejudice. The hope he felt began to snuff out. Sam recognized the fight in his daughter and the importance of her words. He needed to be strong for her. Just as he was about to step in, a familiar voice called out from behind him. "You inspire me, Emma." It was Mr. Clark, a retired engineer who had lived in Maplewood for decades. Sam turned to see the man rising from his folding chair, feeble yet resolute. "Your passion for cars can change the way people think. If we don't share our stories, who will?" The words hung in the air like a lifebuoy tossed to someone drowning. More people stepped forward, sharing their own stories of struggles, of how they had been looked down upon, and how their passion for cars or mechanics had saved them in some way. Sam's heart lifted. What began as a simple car show was transforming into a tapping of the vein of community. The noise of ridicule faded into the background, replaced by the rhythm of encouragement and solidarity. They were all human beings, driven by dreams and stories that had yet to be honored. But across the lot, a shadowy figure watched with menacing intent. Carl's eyes glinted with a mixture of resentment and fury, and he appeared ready to unleash his plan, whatever it was. Sam's heart sank. The healing atmosphere was on the brink of being shattered again. What would he have to sacrifice to protect this newfound sense of unity? The answer loomed larger than the car show, a potential confrontation simmering beneath the surface, waiting to erupt. Did they really have what it takes to change perspectives? And at what cost? The crowd's energy was electric, pulsating with the newfound courage that Emma had ignited. Sam's heart raced as he took in the faces around him, a mixture of pride, anger, and stubborn indifference. He watched Mr. Clark, feeling a deep swell of appreciation for the elderly man's unwavering support. Each voice rising against ridicule. Every story shared pushed away the darkness Carl tried to cast over them. Still, Carl's presence loomed like storm clouds. Sam felt the weight of expectation, not just from himself but from his daughter, who had taken a stand in the face of adversity. Emma's determination blossomed as more townsfolk echoed their shared experiences, and Sam could sense a shift, a collective spirit was rising. But in the middle of it all, a knot formed in Sam's stomach. He could see Carl pacing, eyes narrowing, plotting his next move. If there was one thing Sam knew about Carl, it was that he thrived on chaos. The tension in the air grew thick again, reminding him that unity was fragile. "Look at her, trying to convince everyone that her car is real art," Carl sneered, suddenly stepping into the center of the spotlight. "You can't polish a turd. Let us be real, folks." Laughter rippled through the crowd, but it was cut short by Emma's brave response. "It's not about the car being fancy or perfect. It's about the love and labor behind it, just like us." Her voice soared above the murmurs. The applause that followed felt stronger this time, rooting for her for all of them. Sam's heart soared again, but he could also feel the heaviness of defiance brewing in the atmosphere. Carl wasn't going to back down without a fight. As he stood in the shadows, every sneer and scoff aimed at them lit a fire inside Sam. This was no longer just about Emma or the car. This was a battle for acceptance, for overcoming the weight of judgment that had followed them for years. With renewed determination, Sam stepped forward, finally joining Emma in the fray. "Carl, you may not see the value in what we're doing," he said calmly, "but I know our community is better than your jokes. We're here to show that everyone has a place, regardless of what they own or how they look." A brief silence followed his words, then murmurs echoed through the crowd. Some people nodded, excited glances exchanged between familiar friends. Sam felt the tide shifting again, But Carl's sneer persisted. Place? Carl scoffed, voice rising. You want a place? You're sticking your neck out for a bunch of rust buckets. Just watch how quickly this all falls apart. But instead of retreating, Sam stood his ground. Maybe if you opened your eyes, you'd see the beauty in those rust buckets and in every person standing here, too. The crowd erupted again, this time with a wave of support washing over Emma and Sam as they stood united. It felt like they crossed a threshold, but the taste of victory was bittersweet. Would it be enough to silence Carl? A moment of silence hung in the air, then Carl threw a murderous glare, and Sam felt the anticipation hang heavy, as if time stood still. He wasn't sure how far Carl would go, but deep inside, Sam felt a surge of hope, a certainty that the fight was worth it. And then a bone-chilling shout rang out from the back of the lot. Enough of this. All eyes turned, Sam's heart dropping as a figure he hadn't expected forced their way through the crowd. Would this unexpected arrival turn the tide for good or spell disaster? A tall figure emerged from the crowd, fiercely striding forward. Sam's breath hitched in his throat as he recognized the unmistakable silhouette. It was Mayor Roberts, the town's longtime leader, who often seemed untouchable. Her presence was both intimidating and grounding, sending waves of uncertainty rippling through the crowd. "What's going on here?" she called, her voice firm and unyielding. The laughter from Carl's quips slipped into silence, replaced by anxious whispers. Mayor Roberts was a woman who commanded respect, and with just her presence, she pushed Carl into the shadows. Sam felt his heart race. This was the moment he had quietly hoped for, a chance to have someone in power take a stand alongside them. But he knew too well that politicians often slithered away when the heat rose. Would she support Emma's cause or dismiss their efforts altogether? Carl stepped forward, emboldened by the sudden tension. "Mayor, these people are embarrassing our town. They think they're special just because they have an old car they call art." He sneered again, trying to regain control of the narrative. "They'll bring nothing but shame to us all." The mayor turned her gaze from Carl to Emma and Sam, weighing the emotions swirling around them. "You think those rust buckets are just trash?" She began slowly, eyes narrowing as she pointed to Emma's creation. "You might want to take a closer look. I see resilience. I see community." A murmur of approval rippled through the crowd. Emma's face lit up, and for a moment, Sam marveled at how one person's voice could uplift so many. He felt the knot in his stomach loosening, the community's spirit elevating on the wings of hope, but uncertainty lingered like an uncomfortable guest. Carl scoffed. "And what, Mayor? You think a couple of disheveled cars can represent this town? What will the neighboring towns say? They'll laugh at us." "Sometimes laughter hides ignorance, Carl," the mayor countered, her tone unwavering. "You think grand monuments or fancy cars prove worth? Worth is built in people who refuse to hide behind judgment, who showcase their heart and work." A warm applause erupted again, reverberating in the evening air, as the townsfolk rallied behind her words. Sam felt a spark ignite inside him, his chest swelling with gratitude towards her bravery. Perhaps this was the turning point they needed. But just as things seemed to be spiraling into triumphant territory, the mayor pointed out the crowd's gathering tension. "This is not about a car, nor it should be a contest for popularity. It's about showing our community values acceptance, strength together." Suddenly, a loud crash sounded from the back of the lot, making everyone jump. Sam turned to see Carl throwing a bottle in frustration, shards scattering across the concrete. The air crackled with animosity. This was escalating in ways he had dreaded. "Enough!" the mayor shouted, her voice slicing through the shock. "If you want to fight, do it over something that counts, like building our community instead of tearing it apart." As the crowd collectively gasped, Sam's heart urged him forward. His voice trembled with anger and fear. "Carl, this isn't just about you. It's about every one of us who has been made to feel small. You can't tear us down anymore." Carl's face turned beet red. His eyes glinted with rage. "You think it's just gonna be easy? I won't let you ruin this town's reputation," he shouted, challenging Sam directly. The tension in the air thickened, As everyone stared, breaths held, waiting to see how this confrontation would break. Sam could feel the adrenaline pulsing through his veins. They were at a breaking point and so much hung in the balance. What was going to happen next? Would Carl's fury unleash chaos? Or would their newfound unity withstand this storm? The tension hung thick in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. Sam could practically taste the fear, anger, and uncertainty swirling around him, muffling every other sound. The crowd was rapt, eyes darting between him and Carl, the mayor standing strong like a lighthouse in a raging tempest. Carl took a step toward Sam, his fists clenched. You think your little band of artists can change anything? People like you don't make a difference. You just hold everyone back. His voice was a fractured growl, echoing through the parking lot. But in that moment, something shifted in Sam. All those nights spent working beside Emma, pouring their hearts into those old cars, flashed through his mind. He remembered the laughter, the moments of shared hope, the way they harnessed their passion to carve out a space in this unwelcoming world. Maybe it's not just about us, Sam shot back, every word fueled by urgency. It's about recognizing that every part of this town counts. We may be different, but together we can be powerful. We can turn this place into something we're proud of. Why can't you see that? A murmur rippled through the crowd, a mix of gasps and whispers of agreement. But Carl wasn't done. You think a piece of scrap metal can rival real art? You're a joke. His voice cracked with desperation, trying to cling to dominance as the crowd began to rally behind Sam. Art isn't always about perfection. Carl. Emma chimed in, her voice cutting through the cacophony. It's about expression, about finding beauty in the mundane. You don't get to decide what's worthy of your approval. The mayor nodded in agreement, stepping closer to Emma. This community thrives on its diversity. Embracing each other's visions gives us strength like the vibrant colors in a mural blending together to create something breathtaking. For the first time, Sam saw a glimmer of doubt in Carl's eyes, as if the foundation of his certainty might crumble. The crowd, now energized, began to shout words of support for Sam, and Emma, voices rising like a wave crashing against the shore. But amidst the growing energy, Carl's rage ignited further. You all can laugh now, but when this fails, when the other towns mock us, you'll come crawling back to me. You'll regret this. Maybe we'll regret letting fear silence us. Sam countered, igniting an even louder cheer from his supporters. Courage isn't about the easy path. It's about doing what's right, even when it's hard. The crowd erupted into applause, the sound enveloping them like a warm hug. Sam felt exhilarated but scared, the rush of adrenaline mixing with cold vulnerability. Would Carl lash out again? Would he resort to more desperate measures as his support crumbled? As silence settled in, Mayor Roberts cleared her throat, her sharp gaze meeting Carl's. This is the moment we either unite or fall apart as a community. There is no room for hatred here. Her voice softened as she looked at Sam and Emma. And I stand with those who dare to dream. The crowd cheered once more, but Sam's heart raced with uncertainty. Was this the solid ground they needed, or was a bigger storm brewing? The hope kindled inside him was bright, but the threat of Carl's fury loomed large. Would their courage hold firm, or would Carl take surprise action to undermine their newfound unity? Just then, a shadow loomed behind Carl. A familiar figure stepped forward, and Sam's adrenaline surged again. It was Mrs. Peters, the well-respected shop owner from down the street. Her presence always commanded attention, but today, there was something in her stride that felt decisive. Sam held his breath, heart in his throat. What was she about to say? Would she stand with them or against them? The tension in the air crackled with anticipation as they awaited her words. Mrs. Peters took her place in front of the crowd, her eyes sweeping over the faces that filled the parking lot. Her usual warm smile was replaced by a somber expression. Sam couldn't help but brace himself. Would she shatter their fragile unity with her words, or would she bolster their fight? Carl, she began, her voice steady but clear. I've spent years working in this town. I've seen its highs and lows. But you know what I've also seen? People coming together to create something beautiful, even when the odds were stacked against them. She paused, letting her words fill the air. Sam felt a spark of hope. Mrs. Peters was not just the shop owner. She was a matriarch of the community, and if she was speaking up, it could change everything. You may think this is just a small group of artists with a silly dream, she continued, her gaze narrowing at Carl, but you're wrong. They're a part of what makes this town pulse with life. They are showing us what it means to strive, to create, to hope. The crowd responded with murmurs of agreement, an electric wave of encouragement surging around Sam as they leaned forward. Engaged, Carl's jaw tightened, and Sam could see ire boiling under the surface. You don't have to pander to these dreamers, Mrs. Peters. You know we can't waste resources on this kind of nonsense. Nonsense? She shook her head, a fierce determination gleaming in her eyes. Your vision of our town is so narrow that you can't even see the potential in front of you. Art brings connection. It creates dialogue and showcases our identity. You can't just bulldoze over that. The cheering from the crowd swelled again. Sam felt a warm glow of validation wash over him, pushing aside the fear that had gripped his heart until now. And let us be honest, Mrs. Peters added, an air of lightness in her tone but with serious intent. This isn't just about art versus metal. It's about community and acceptance. We can't go backward. This town deserves better. We all deserve better. She looked directly at Sam and Emma, her expression softening. I've seen what you two are capable of. You remind me of the heart and soul that keeps this town alive. This town needs you even if Carl can't see it. That undeniable glimmer of courage from others ignited a deeper fire within Sam. He loved this town, and every insult from Carl seemed less powerful now. Together, we can show him the truth. Sam shouted, rallying the energy of the crowd. Carl's face transformed into a mask of fury. Desperation etched around his eyes. You think this is a game? You'll regret challenging me. The air thickened again, tension crackling like static. Sam trembled as he met Carl's glare, sensing the mayor's need to counterattack. Just then, the ambience shifted, the loud traffic noises dulled and transformed into an eerie silence, almost as if the world had collectively held its breath. Then it happened. A voice from the back of the crowd called out, breaking the thick tension. We want change. It was a young woman, her words infused with passion. We want a place where everyone's dreams can flourish. That rallying cry rippled through the crowd, charging them with a collective strength. Energized and emboldened, the people began to chant, voices melding into one. Unity, change, dreams. Carl stumbled back, taken aback by the sheer force of their resolve. Anger flashed across his face as he struggled to regain control. But Sam could see it, desperation beginning to set in. Is this the kind of change you want, Carl? Sam pressed, emboldened by the support surrounding him. Because we won back down. Now the question hung in the air like a damning challenge. Would Carl capitulate, or would he try to squeeze them back into submission? Just as the crowd reached a fever pitch, Carl turned abruptly and stormed off, his silhouette disappearing into the shadows of the rising sun. But his angry outburst echoed in their minds, leaving an unsettling question behind. What would he do next? As people began to disperse, Sam could still feel the adrenaline coursing through him. He didn't know if today had truly changed everything, but there was an undeniable shift in the air. A new chapter awaited them. Would it be one of rediscovery? Or would Carl plot a revenge that would threaten everything they had worked for? The crowd began to dissolve, a wave of energy still buzzing in the air. Sam stood rooted in place, his heart racing and his mind trying to process what had just happened. He could see Emma, her eyes sparkling with a mixture of disbelief and pride as she turned to him, a smile breaking across her face. Felt surreal. Had they actually done something? Had they made Carl retreat even for just a moment? Did you see that? She exclaimed, her voice rising over the fading chants. We actually stood up to him. Sam chuckled, shaking his head. It's wild, right? I mean, I never thought I'd be the one shouting in front of a crowd. Their laughter was a bright spot amid the questions and uncertainties swirling around them. But just as quickly, A shadow crossed his mind. What if he comes back with something worse? He asked, worry creeping into his tone. Emma's expression shifted, the excitement dimming just a bit. He probably will, but we can prepare. He can't silence us forever. Yeah, Sam said, but doubt lingered in his chest. The kind of anger Carl showed ran deep. He couldn't just walk away defeated. Not someone like him. As they began to walk back toward the heart of the town, other community members gathered to talk, sharing their thoughts and ideas. Mrs. Peters, standing at the edge, grabbed Sam's arm gently. You two were incredible. I've never seen such passion in this town before. But we need to be strategic. I know, Sam replied, trying to sound braver than he felt. What's the next step? We gather everyone, artists, business owners, parents. We need to show Carl that we're united. And we need a plan. He might not be expecting that. Her steady gaze reassured him somewhat, and he could see the determination in her eyes. Let us meet at the gallery later, Emma suggested, her enthusiasm rekindling. We can brainstorm ideas, maybe even start some projects that highlight what art does for our community. Yes. Mrs. Peters nodded in agreement. Art, music, performance. All these things unite us, showcase our talents. We can host events, bring the community together. We need to remind people, not just Carl, but everyone, why creativity matters. Sam felt his spirits lift at their enthusiasm. The thought of support and a plan was empowering. I'll get the word out. We can put together a community art show. I'll show the beauty of what we can create together. As they talked, the energy of collective hope pulsed in the air, revitalizing Sam. Yet he couldn't shake the nagging feeling in his chest. The battle wasn't over. It had just begun. The tide of fear that had threatened to drown him moments before was being replaced with a glimmer of hope. Sam smiled, feeling a determination settle into his bones. We'll show Carl what we're capable of. And this time we won't just back down. But just then, a familiar voice echoed from behind them. I wouldn't get too comfortable, Sam. You have no idea what's coming. It was Carl, back in the light of that harsh sun, his defeat replaced by a chilling calm. A smirk played on his lips, and fear crawled back into Sam's throat. How did he already know they were planning? What did he have up his sleeve? Sam exchanged worried glances with Emma and Mrs. Peters. They had just rallied, but now they stood on shaky ground again, facing an opponent who refused to back down. What would Carl unleash next? The real fight had only just begun. The sun beat down relentlessly as Sam turned to face Carl, the smirk on the man's face sending a shiver down his spine. Every ounce of hope they'd just built felt suddenly fragile. What do you want, Carl? Sam managed to force out, his voice steadier than he felt. Carl took a step closer, the crowd around them growing still. I want you to understand something, he said, his tone oozing smug confidence. You've riled up a bunch of art enthusiasts, but that's not going to stop me. It just makes it more entertaining. Emma clenched her fists at her sides, her jaw tightening. What are you planning? She shot back, flame in her eyes. Carl chuckled, a dark sound that turned Sam's stomach. You think this is a battle? I can bring the storm, and trust me, it's one you won't slice through with paintbrushes and music notes. Mrs. Peters stepped forward, glaring at him. You underestimate the power of community, Carl. We're more than just individuals. We're a voice, and together we can make a difference. Carl raised an eyebrow. You think a few gatherings and art shows will make me cower? I thrive on chaos. I'll take your little plans and turn them against you. As he spoke, the crowd murmured uneasily, sense creeping in that maybe they had poked the wrong bear. Sam glanced at Emma, fear mingling with anger in her gaze. He felt overwhelmed, the weight of Carl's dismissive words crashing over him. Enough! Sam shouted, surprising even himself. You may thrive on chaos, but that doesn't mean you'll win. We're not just going to roll over. We'll show you the strength we have together. Carl's expression shifted momentarily, a flicker of surprise before he masked it with that same condescending grin. Good luck with that, he said, spinning on his heel. I'll be waiting in the wings, just in case you forget who runs this town." He walked away, the atmosphere thick with tension. Emma turned to Sam, her eyes wide and fearful. "What was that?" "I don't know," he admitted, his heart racing. "But we can't back down now. We've got to call that meeting at the gallery." They quickly started gathering people again, the urgency propelling them forward despite the lingering unease. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, the gallery hall was filled with voices, each sharing ideas, doubts, and determination. Sam stood at the front, surrounded by friends and allies. "This is about more than just art," he said passionately. "It's about standing up for what we believe in. It's about showing Carl and everyone what our community means." The crowd cheered, their voices ringing out like a battle anthem. Hope ignited in Sam's chest again, swelling with every chant and clap. But amidst the energy, a question gnawed at him. Would it be enough? Could they really face the storm Carl promised to unleash? As they began to discuss ideas for the art show, Sam's mind wandered back to Carl's chilling warning. What exactly was he planning? That uncertainty lingered as night drew in, dark clouds gathering over their little town like an omen. The calm before the storm. The gallery buzzed with energy, the flickering lights casting shadows on the walls. Sam paced in front, trying to absorb the enthusiasm around him. But even as cheers erupted, he couldn't shake the feeling of dread that lurked in the back of his mind. The meetings were meant to ignite hope and give everyone direction. Yet Carl's words echoed endlessly. "I'll take your little plans and turn them against you." The night pressed on, filled with discussions about art pieces that would stir the soul and topics about how they could defend their community. Emma stood by Sam, her brow furrowed with concern, whispering suggestions and ideas. "We should collaborate with local artists," she said. "Highlight the stories of the people in this town. That'll show Carl and anyone else how strong our roots are." Sam appreciated her passion. He nodded, finding comfort in her presence. But the gnawing fear remained. And what if he does turn the crowd against us? What if the chaos he thrives on spreads? He mused aloud, uncertainty creeping into his voice. Emma's gaze softened. "We can't let fear dictate our actions," she replied, her voice steady. "What we create here isn't just for us. It's for the town, for everyone. We have to trust our community's heart." The night wore on, and ideas bloomed like flowers, each unique and vibrant. Sam felt himself buoyed by the collective hope, but a sick feeling settled whenever he thought of what Carl might have cooking. Just then, Mrs. Peters took the stage, her presence drawing attention like gravity. "We've gathered because we believe," she exclaimed, her voice strong. "Carl may bring chaos, but we have something greater. We have unity." The crowd erupted in applause, their faces glowing with determination. But as the cheers faded, a distant sound echoed through the air, a low rumble, like thunder rolling in from the horizon. Sam glanced at Emma, their earlier energy swiftly replaced by tension. The townsfolk stopped, their cheers fading into worried murmurs. "Is that?" Emma trailed off, her smile fading as the sound intensified. "It can't be," Sam said, stepping toward the exit, his heart pounding. He pushed open the gallery door, the sharp night air biting at their skin as they stepped outside. As they looked up, dark clouds loomed overhead, swirling ominously, precursor to something much worse than words. It was the storm that Carl had promised, only instead of rain, it was followed by a convoy of trucks, headlights cutting through the darkness, heavy machinery arriving. The realization hit hard. Carl was coming for them, and not just with threats. Emma's grip tightened around Sam's arm. "What do we do?" Sam stood frozen, thoughts racing. The panic in the crowd was palpable, fear washing over their faces. But as he turned to face the gallery, voices rose again, this time in urgency, rallying together. "We can't let them take this from us," someone shouted. "Fight for our community." Sam felt the fire return within him. This was no longer just about art, but about spirit, heart, and resilience. "Together," he yelled back, igniting the room. "We defend what's ours." They rallied as darkness descended, and while Carl might have brought the storm, Sam knew they could be the lightning in it. But as they began hatching a plan, the reality stood stark. Could they stand strong against the chaos that was about to descend upon them? As the trucks rolled closer, reality dawned. All of their unity would soon be tested in ways they had never imagined. Would their hopeful spirit withstand the storm? Or would Carl's chaos consume them? The answers loomed just out of reach. The day had finally arrived, the sun breaking over Maplewood with rays of hope, casting light on the town's struggles. Sam took a deep breath and stepped into the newfound reality. They were ready. The trucks were parked, their engines idling in anticipation like a predator waiting for the right moment to pounce. Sam's heart thundered. They were standing at the brink of a clash between unity and chaos. The crowd gathered tightly, eyes glued on the heavy machinery ominously lining the street. Sam felt the presence of everyone he had fought for: his family, friends, and the town. The mix of fear and determination hung thick in the air. "Listen," Sam called out, his voice breaking through the swirling tension. The murmurs faded as the townsfolk turned their focus on him. "We didn't come this far to let Carl's anger drown us. We have something stronger than machinery: our spirit, our stories." His words lit a fire, people standing taller, faces set with resolve. Emma stepped forward, her own voice steady and clear. "Art isn't just what we create. It's who we are, connects us. And today we're showing everyone, even Carl, that the heart of Maplewood beats louder than any machine." The crowd erupted into cheers, their voices drowning out the growl of the trucks. But Carl stood in the distance, his eyes narrowed, features twisted in defiance. "You think you can stop progress with warmth and words?" he shouted, his voice slicing through the atmosphere. "I'll bring down the walls you're hiding behind." A flicker of fear crossed Sam's mind, but it was dwarfed by the strength of the moment. "We're not hiding. We're standing tall," he yelled back. "And our community isn't just a feeling, it's alive. People, families, dreams, those are our treasures. This isn't about old cars versus new machines. It's about who we are." The cheering swelled around him, and Sam could feel the pulse of the town rise like a heartbeat. As if summoned by the fervor, Mrs. Peters stepped forward once more. "We'll show you what progress looks like, Carl," she declared, voice ringing with conviction. "This town won't thrive on tearing each other down. We thrive through collaboration, creativity, and uplifting one another." From the sea of faces, others began calling out their stories: how long they had worked to build a community that cherished each individual's dreams. They spoke of late nights and shared laughter, of painting murals and once empty streets filled with music. Carl scowled. His aura of chaos started to crack, fissures of doubt deepening in his expression. "You think this is going to change anything?" he snarled, but his words lacked the conviction of before. "Yes," the crowd shouted together. "Yes, it will." The weight of the moment crashed over Sam like a wave, their voices buoying him up. This was it. The clash wasn't just between machines and cars. It was about acceptance, unity, love, and the lengths they would go to defend their home. Sam felt a surge of energy, one that seemed to lift everyone off the ground. They were no longer afraid. They were fierce as the trucks roared to life, ready to bulldoze ahead. Sam raised his hands. "We'll show you the beauty that this town holds," he shouted, the fire in him refusing to dim. "Start your machines, Carl. We'll show you what our spirits can do against them." The crowd erupted into action, gathering banners and paintings, their hearts overflowing with purpose. They painted the realities of Maplewood: hard work, dreams, and triumphs like an art show spilling onto the street, reflecting their determination. Each stroke of paint ignited their fight, shielding their home from the chaos that Carl embodied. Carl's confidence wavered, and Sam could see the wheels in his mind turning. "You think your little art can conquer this?" he challenged, but his bravado was thin. "Maybe not on its own," Emma shouted back, her eyes fierce with light. "But we're here tenfold. We're together." In that moment, the floodgates opened, and Maplewood became a canvas of purpose. Neighbors joined hands, artists, mechanics, teachers, everyone rose as one, transforming their fears into fuel. "Let us show them," Sam shouted. And with that, they surged forward, a tide of passion against the oncoming machinery. Carl was taken aback, his plans crumbling in the face of unwavering unity. The roar of the trucks met the chorus of voices, but the vibrations shook differently now. The world around them reflected resilience, colors vibrant as they burst forth, spreading warmth and hope like sunshine breaking through after a storm. As Sam looked around, he saw Emma, fierce and radiant. He saw Mrs. Peters, Mr. Clark, all those who stood beside them. This was no longer just about an event or a car, it was about family, about community, about rising against the challenges that life forced upon them. The trucks paused, uncertainty flashing in Carl's eyes as the realization hit him this wasn't just a battle about machines or cars anymore. This was a moment of change. As the sun set behind them, illuminating Maplewood in golden hues, Sam felt it, the love, the acceptance, the power of collective dreams. This was their triumph, their heartwarming victory against all odds. And yes, perhaps Carl was right. The road ahead might not be without bumps, but they were ready. Ready to rise, to create, and to embrace what made them beautiful, the tapestry of their dreams woven together. Maplewood had found its identity, and nothing could take that away. And as the crowd erupted into joyful cheers, their spirits intertwined like the lights of 1,000 stars against the night sky. It echoed to the four corners of the universe. A new beginning had blossomed. If you felt that surge of hope, if you believe in the power of community and transformation, you need to subscribe now to catch our next stories. This is the moment to show your support and be part of these journeys. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this message alive. Don't wait not even one more second. Comment below about how you felt during this incredible transformation. And share this video with at least 5 friends who could use a reminder of how powerful unity can be. Together, let us spread this message far and wide.